Increase the volume and get ready. Is the Tea Party dead? Is that a stupid question? Is conservatism dead? Is liberty dead? Is the Constitution to be surrendered? What's left of it? Are you rolling into a fetal position and just surrendering to all this? You know, ladies and gentlemen, we have establishment Republican candidates who are patting themselves on the back because they're running as conservatives. They're spending millions of dollars, money collected from mostly millionaires and billionaires, laundered through Karl Rove's group, laundered through Mitch McConnell's group, the National Republican Senatorial Committee, laundered through the United States Chamber of Crony Capitalism, and they pat themselves on the back for running as conservatives and claiming they're conservatives, when in fact they're trashing conservatives in the Tea Party. They won't run on their support for amnesty. Have you seen any ads for amnesty? They won't run on their support for massive federal spending and borrowing, which is what they vote for and support. Have you seen any ads like that? And they spend a fortune on their propaganda. And they have their mouthpieces all over the media. I've gotten more emails today complaining that Karl Rove is on the Fox News channel, while on the other hand he's running this American Crossroads thing, and then he's asked to analyze what happened in the election when in fact, how can he analyze it when he's running that pack? Now this fan dance by these establishment Republicans will not last the test of time. It can't. Because as the wheels come off society, they will collapse with everything else, and they will be held to account. See, for them, this is a game. They want control. It's not so much that Republicans have control. Only a certain kind of Republicans can have control, and that's Republicans that they can control. What are they cheering? Why are they celebrating? And look at their record. But before we get to their record, and I will, and I think you're going to find this bracing, we have rambling fools on radio, TV, columnists, know-nothings when it comes to American history. While they beat their chest and pretend they do, they know nothing short of looking up something quickly on Wikipedia. They know nothing of our heritage. And they know very little about the Enlightenment. What do they know about the debates at the Constitutional Convention? What do they know about the ratification conventions, even before that? What do they know about the Declaration of Independence other than citing it from here and there? Nothing. The Second Continental Congress. Who even introduced a resolution for independence? Who was it? Do they know? They don't know. Richard Henry Lee, June 7, 1776. Do they know why? Do they know what the resolution said? They have no idea. Because if you bring these things up, they mock you, or you're a kook, or you're an extremist. They're just like liberals. And many of them are old liberals. Many of them are old hippies and yippies. Poets. Lawyers for Hollywood studios, Hollywood moguls, now telling us what conservatism is all about. Many of the people in Congress and leadership positions never worked one day for the election of Ronald Reagan. As a matter of fact, most of them worked against it. And I'll get to that in a moment. So these rambling fools, they deign to lecture you and me. Some of them with microphones, some of them with TV cameras in their face, some of them with columns, and some of them in Congress. Now, let's be clear about a few things. In 2006, George W. Bush and his right-hand political hack, the architect, Karl Rove, lost the House of Representatives and lost the United States Senate. They'd both been in Republican control. The House of Representatives have been in Republican control since the Newt Gingrich Revolution, and they hated Gingrich. And the Bushies still hate Gingrich. So the Bushies and Karl Rove and the moderates and Mitch McConnell running the National Republican Senatorial Committee, they lost the Congress. There was no Tea Party in 2006. There was no Tea Party in 2008. They still lost the Congress. As a matter of fact, Mitch McConnell famously said, and I won't crank out the audio, the Republican Party needs to be careful. It's becoming a regional party. Just like now we're told the Republican Party needs to reach out to this group and that group and pander based on ethnicity and so forth, because, again, it's got to watch the demographics. These people never stand on principle except during campaigns when they don't mean it. And when it comes time to govern, then they jettison it. So nothing was happening with the Republican Party but loss after loss until 2010. And what happened? The people rose up from the grassroots, not through any political party. Not because of what consultants said. Not because of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Not because of lobbyists or the media. They'd had enough. They had enough of Bush in the last 6 months of his presidency, turned into Herbert Hoover, and they had enough of what Obama was announcing after his election. They saw the country was heading against a brick wall, and they were right. We were right. What happened? A spontaneous movement of patriotic Americans with conservative beliefs. They didn't organize a party. There is no quote-unquote Tea Party. There are millions of us who've had enough. Constitutionalists, law-abiding citizens, taxpayers, we've had enough. And what happened in that election in 2010 when the Republicans were flat on their back, when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House, when Barack Obama had supermajority in the Senate and the House and was ramming home Obamacare and Dodd-Frank? What happened? Did the Republican Party stop them? No, you stopped them. And the result is the Republican Party benefited from it, because it is and was, quote-unquote, the opposition party. And it was an amazing, historic landslide, a tidal wave. The House of Representatives, in one election, switched from supermajority Democrat control under Nancy Pelosi to supermajority Republican control later under John Boehner. The Republicans had a net gain of 65 seats and almost a net gain of 72 seats. Some of the elections were so close. That exceeded the Gingrich Revolution of 1994, where they picked up 54 seats. Not since 1938 had the Republicans seen such a landslide. What happened in the Senate? The Democrats lost 6 seats. And 3 new Republican senators in particular were elected with Tea Party support. In Washington, ignore the propaganda and lies of this Jennifer Rubin. Marco Rubio was the Tea Party favorite candidate. And when I endorsed him, he was at 5%. And he'll tell you that himself. We got Rubio, Mike Lee, Rand Paul. We almost won in Colorado and Washington State. The Democrats won by the skin of their teeth. And by the way, this is the election where Rove and the rhinos and the establishments have twisted everything and turned history around and rewritten history. That if only Sharon Angle wasn't the nominee in Nevada, if only Ken Buck wasn't the nominee in Colorado, if only Joe Wilson wasn't the nominee in Alaska, if only we'd gone with the left-wing Republican in Delaware, we would have won the Senate. Really? So we pick up 6 seats thanks to the conservative movement, thanks to the Tea Party movement, no thanks to the Republican establishment, and they spin it. They rewrite history. That but for the Tea Party, they would control the Senate? Why are they doing this? I'm going to tell you why in a second. What else happened? Well, before those 2010 midterm elections, the Democrats controlled 27 legislatures, both houses. The Republicans 14. 8 states were split. After that election, the Republicans controlled 26 state legislatures, both houses. The Democrats were down to 17, with 5 states split. And the Republicans controlled the state legislatures and governorships in only 9 states before that election, and in 2010, they controlled them in 21 states, with Democrats only controlling 11. They hated Tea Party. They hated conservative movement. They can't seem to nominate the right people, unlike the establishment. Well, that's a flat-out lie, too. I want you to listen to this. In 2012, how did we lose the election in 2012? How did we not take the Senate in 2012? Was it due to Todd Akin in Missouri, who was running against 2 other Tea Party candidates? Absolutely not. Was it due to Murdoch in Indiana, a good man? Absolutely not. Let me tell you the names of the establishment Republicans, backed by Karl Rove, backed by Mitch McConnell, who lost in states where they were expected to win. In Florida, Connie Mack. In Hawaii, Linda Lingle. In Massachusetts, Scott Brown. In Montana, Denny Rayburg. In New Mexico, Heather Wilson. In North Dakota, Rick Berg. In Wisconsin, Tommy Thompson. All backed by Rove, all backed by his PAC, all backed by McConnell, and all losers. We must not allow the Republican establishment and their friendly media to work with the liberal media to say that but for the Tea Party we would control the Senate, but for the Tea Party you'd be nothing as you were before. But for the Tea Party, Pelosi would still be Speaker, and God knows what would be going on with this country. Oh, and one other thing. Their guy Romney lost in 2012, too. So what is this attack on the Tea Party? These lies, the millions of dollars being spent to defeat candidates in the primaries because, they had lawsuits filed against them, unlike any incumbent Republican. Those incumbent Republicans and those establishment Republicans running in open seats and running in primary, they're just so perfect. Nothing's wrong with any of them. But you see, the Tea Party doesn't do opposition research like Karl Rove and the National Republican Senatorial Committee and feed it through their favorite columnists and spokesmen and all the rest. They just fight on principle. Sometimes they win. A lot of times they win. And sometimes they lose. So what's going on here? Imagine the Democrat Party turning on that part of the party, that part of their grassroots that brings vigor, that brings principle, that brings fresh faces and new blood into the political system, trashing them, spending money to defeat them as opposed to bringing them in and trying to work with them and trying to figure out how to advance the cause. Can you imagine? So what's going on here? I'm going to tell you what's going on here. These Republican leaders, quote unquote, only want to be in the majority if they can control the people we send to Congress. Mitch McConnell does not want any more Ted Cruz's or Mike Lee's or anybody else who's going to give him trouble. He wants Republicans who are going to lie down and do what he tells them to do. John Boehner and Eric Cantor, exactly the same thing. These people are not about empowering the American people. They're about empowering themselves. They see a majority in the House and a majority in the Senate not as an opportunity to serve the people, but to serve themselves. This is why they attack the conservatives who challenge them in primaries, even open primaries. This is why Rove pours the money in. He's no great architect. He's a Svengali. He's a loser. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, how many arrows I'm going to take in my back for standing up to this force. It is corrupt. It is intellectually dishonest. I can get behind this microphone and ramble on about Barack Obama endlessly without touching this subject. I can get behind this microphone and talk about 25 issues and trash other hosts without touching this subject. But I'm not gonna. At the bottom of the hour, after the bottom of the hour, I have a treat for you. I'll wait till after the bottom of the hour. I have a treat for you. I've said before, and I want to say it again. Those of you who are under 50, I want you to take heart. Yours is the generation that's going to save this country. My generation is not. My generation of the Democrat Party is destroying this country. My generation of the Republican Party is letting you down. You are going to have to fight for yourselves. You're going to have to fight for what is yours. And what is yours is the American heritage. It's the legacy.